So we might begin. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. And welcome to Aaron at the back, here for the first time. Also, apologies from Anton, not here. Also from Peter, who has got held up at work, Queensland time. And also May's got a meeting tonight, so she's not here. And there may even be others that arrive late, we'll see. But certainly let's settle in with our meditation, and also we welcome those that are online. So settling in for our Thursday evening meditation, the opportunity to sit, to enable the mind to move into some inner stillness, inner silence, inner spaciousness. The true nature of the mind as stillness, silence, and spaciousness. So meditation allows that opportunity to access, appreciate, and realize the mind beyond the mental noise of thoughts, the mental movements of thoughts, and the mental clutter often of thoughts, creating some inner peace, a peaceful mind through inner stillness, silence, and spaciousness. And before bringing mindful focus onto the breath, our reference point for connecting into the present moment, appreciating that the breath is always only felt, known, sensed in the present being this place and point of existence. Firstly, relaxing awareness down into our body, breathing out any stress tension that may have been building in the body over the happening of the day. The week so far nearly ended. Breathing out, relaxing, releasing, letting go. And particularly letting go of roles that the mind engages through. The activity of selfing, self in relationship to others and things through the various roles. So for meditation, the mind does not need to get caught up in thought, thinking, selfing, which relieves a huge responsibility and burden, enabling just now knowing, neutral awareness, receptive, attentive knowing. This is the opportunity for the real retreat from the world, the ways of the world, the roles of the world, into that inner peace. Firstly, sensing and feeling the body sitting, feeling a few contact sensations, maybe the feet connecting with the floor. Feeling the body connecting with the chair cushion or meditation stool. Sensing, feeling, knowing. And noticing the contact sensation of our hands and fingers. Hands and fingers resting in our lap, maybe one hand against the other, or touching the fabric of our clothes, just sensing, noticing, feeling, hands and fingers. Bringing awareness up to our face, and maybe sensing subtle sensations on our face, the air connecting with our face. And also noticing subtle light coming in through the closed eyelids. And even looking into that lightness, brightness, blankness through the closed eyelids. A forward-focused gaze into the space in front through the closed eyelids, into that lightness, brightness, or blankness. Not being distracted by any sounds that might occur. And particularly not getting caught into the internal mental sight or sound of thoughts. All thoughts simply occur as a mental image that we see, a mental sound or voice that we hear. So not engaging to the activity of thinking, rather directing our mind's attention to the sensation of the breath, the naturally occurring breath, as we feel it entering and exiting the nose, mindfulness of breathing, and just letting our body breathe itself naturally, letting the breath find its own natural rhythm, but noticing attention to each breath, feeling that inflow, outflow, directing and sustaining attention, developing focus, collectedness, mental composure, concentration, the possibility of samadhi, collected, concentrated mind, mindful attention, mindful focus. Allowing mind and body to settle into a integrated sense of ease and peace. Feeling and knowing each breath, looking into that lightness, brightness through the closed eyelids, settling into this one-pointed, focused attention. Let's help yourself to some tea and biscuits. Now what? It's not charging. It's on. It's on here. The lights are on. It's a truth. It's a truth. The truth. A reality. The reality. A fact that we are alive. You better believe it. So we are alive. We have life. In a way, we could say we are life. We are the embodiment, the manifestation of life happening until it doesn't. But certainly, whilst we have life, experience life, are alive, is that enough? Or is there the possibility for something more, maybe even something profound in being alive? Last week, we reflected upon time passing, and certainly the speed up over the next month as we move towards the end of the year, and the importance of reflecting upon our practice, and that saying one of the 10 reflections for practitioners: the days and nights are relentlessly passing. How well am I spending my time? This should be reflected upon by spiritual practitioners. So certainly, how are we spending our time, but are we engaged in having quality experience, which becomes more of a state of mind than maybe what we're actually doing with the body. Certainly, I think for a lot of creatures on this amazing planet that we share with amazing creatures. It's enough for them just to be alive and exist. Their life is just about existing, getting by, surviving, caught up in following instincts, instinctual behaviors, habits, reacting to a stimulus, not even responding, reacting. So that's where they're at, and based upon their particular mind, quality of mind. But as human beings, we have that possibility of developing the quality of the mind so that there's more of a mindful experience of life. So it's not enough just to be alive and to get by, even though we could say that a lot of people, that's how they live. It's getting by day to day, or maybe even just on automatic pilot, living their life days or even weeks ahead of themselves in the rush, not really being present to life. Because as we can appreciate in meditation, that life is about this moment. Meditation is about this moment, not next. Live now, not next. And very much that sense of coming to one's senses. So how we know we are alive is not by thinking it, but by feeling it. And feeling through the senses, the sensory experience and the feeling of seeing or hearing or smelling and tasting, touching, feeling, and maybe some thinking as well. So the idea of literally and also metaphorically coming to our senses so that we can be more present to what's happening. And certainly our senses aren't sensitive to past things or future things. They're sensitive to, yes, there's thoughts, and the thought might be about the past or the future, but we can't smell the food we had yesterday. We can't hear a sound we're going to hear next week, because the senses only pick up data in the present moment. But if we're continually missing our present moments, then and only caught up in thinking, wondering, worrying, stressing, planning, and so forth, then we're missing out on a lot of our rich experience of life. And sadly, that's how it is for a lot of people. Maybe because they haven't become aware of the possibility of maybe slowing down. Yes, plan for the future where you need to reflect upon the past for learning, but be present. And meditation, certainly as I see it, is about practicing being present. Present for an in-breath, present for an out-breath, present for an in-breath, present for an out-breath. And that's training. It's not easy because there's a lot of conditioning and habit for getting caught up in thoughts. The next thing, that sense of getting caught up in the future, or getting caught back into the past, which may even be sort of unpleasant, but seemingly, we get caught up indulging in the past, regret, remorse, guilt, shame, upset, distress, trauma. So the practice is to be more present to life now and enable a quality of life, because as we can appreciate, it's not so much about, life isn't about quantity, it's about quality. Quality of life. And quality of life isn't about where you go to a restaurant, what sort of fine dining one can have, or whether you wear designer clothes. Quality of life is quality of clarity of experience through the senses. That's what makes life meaningful, satisfying, and worthwhile. Not even what we are experiencing, but the quality of seeing. Even if we're seeing something that we've seen many times before, but really seeing, clearly seeing and hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, feeling, thinking, knowing in the present moment. And in that becomes the possibility of the art of living. You can say that living is an art. And it's something that we even need to learn how to live in that conscious, mindful, receptive, attentive, even objective way becomes the art of living. Or we could even say that the craft of living. So living a quality life is both an art and a craft. And it's something to learn how to do. Even again, meditation is learning that art and craft of practicing being present in the moment, to this moment, being receptive to it, receiving it, being aware of it, attentive to it until the next moment, or the next breath. And then that flows on into how we are outside of meditation, that quality of mindful, receptive, attentive awareness, that sense of flow. And maybe even how we then behave with things is a result of that quality of awareness, quality of consciousness, quality of mind. So that life becomes the meditation, meditation becomes life. I've been inspired at times by people that have done simple things in a really mindful way. When I left the monastery, and so in the monastery for 11 years, where the whole practice was really about training in mindfulness. And I remember sitting on the terrace where I was living with Hannah, my partner, in Darling Point. Pip's been there. Nice place. And sitting there, and this would be about 25 years ago now, and 20 years. Hannah's cousin had come with his wife and a couple of kids from Austria and visiting. And her cousin, this guy, I forget his name, and he smoked. But the way in which he would mindfully pick up his packet of cigarettes and sort of slowly, mindfully take out a cigarette and sort of feel it and tap it a bit, and then sort of he'd slowly get his lighter and mindfully light it. And so it's a very mindful activity, and not a great thing to be doing, lighting up a cigarette. He had a few while he was sitting there, but he did it really slowly and really mindfully. He was really present for that experience, and he savored not just the cigarette, but every draw on it and every blow on it. It's like he was having a mindful experience smoking. It was probably his meditation, basically. Other people just sit and savor the in-breath, savor the out-breath. His is flavored in-breath and out-breath. Again, not so healthy. And it reminded me of when I was in Bangkok, Thailand, and with another monk, Australian monk, who I met when I first went to Thailand. He was down from the northeast, down from Ajahn Chah's monastery. His monk name was Pamutto, Ajahn Pamutto. He now lives down the road there, Stephen. He moved to this area, and he was living out near Murwillumbah, and I said, oh, there's a place going for sale down our neighbour, and so he bought it. He lives down the road there. And he took me to a Bangkok monastery. And generally, forest monks don't see Bangkok monasteries as particularly anything worthwhile. They're just big city monasteries, often lots of monks and people visiting. And the real monasteries are up in the northeast, in the jungle, in the forest, where you're living with the cobra and the malaria mosquitoes, and the scorpions and the centipedes. So you have to be really mindful. And we had a cup of tea with this monk that Stephen knew. And this monk, he was, a Bangkok monk, but the way in which Hannah's cousin was so mindful with his cigarette, reminded me of this monk and the way in which he drank his tea. Very mindfully, he would pick up his mug and raise it and have his tea. Sort of slowly and mindfully, gracefully. There was a wonderful sort of meditative presence about his tea drinking. And I've remembered it ever since, because it was wonderful to see someone doing something simple, ordinary, but in a very mindful, meditative way. And when I went up to the northeast, because Stephen said, "Oh, go and stay with Ajahn Chah and the Western monks there," because I was thinking of going to a different monastery. I was thinking of going up and staying with another forest Ajahn Mahabua, who was well known for forest practice, and had a number of Western monks as well. But I thought I'll try the Ajahn Chah Western monks first. So I went up there, and thinking I was going to experience some sort of profound, meditative, mystical, transcendental teachings. And I was staying at the Western Branch Monastery, Wat Pah Nanachat International Forest Monastery. Ajahn Pasanno was the abbot. He's a Canadian monk, now abbot of a monastery that he has in North America, Abhayagiri Monastery. And the teachings that he gave were just about be mindful. And if you want to know what's really important, be mindful. And how you be mindful is when you come to the meditation hall, you park your thongs in a very symmetrical way, and then facing out, and you step out of them, and you mindfully and slowly come in. And when you sit down, you have your bag with you, and you mindfully put your bag down, and you fold the strap over so it sits nicely, and you bow 3 times and sit. So there's no esoteric teaching other than mindfulness. That was the esoteric teaching. Be mindful. It's all about being mindful. And fundamentally, that is it. You know, the whole of the Buddha's teachings comes down to being mindful, being aware, being conscious, being present. Is it even a lovely verse in the Dhammapada, one of my favorite verses, and it says, mindfulness is the path to the deathless. Mindlessness is the path to death. The mindful never die, but the mindless live as if dead already. So the deathless is another word or synonym for enlightenment, nibbana. So mindfulness is the path to the deathless. And so our practice then is very much about developing, cultivating, enabling, enhancing this quality of mindfulness. And for that, we don't need to be necessarily a Buddhist monk or a nun in a monastery, in a retreat center, on retreat. It's about being mindful with everyday experiences, everyday life, every day. And that's what enables that sense of quality of life. Again, a quality of life and quality of experience isn't about bungee jumping, isn't about paragliding, abseiling, isn't about riding a skateboard on a railing, surfing big waves. It's about being attentive to what's happening, which might be cleaning one's teeth. It might be patting the dog. It might be clearing the table, but done with precision and done with that quality and clarity of mind that, again, we develop through the meditation, particularly that refinement of attention, concentration, that enables that art and craft of living and life, but also allows us to then see in a profound way as well, enabling that quality of vipassana, insight, because we see in an acutely profound, direct way the nature of experience, the rising and passing of things, that things seemingly appear as ongoing, flowing, and happening, but they're actually just data points of experience, like pixels, sort of pixels of information that the brain mind collects together into this seamless flow drama of life. But by having that superpower mindfulness, we see that it's just a sound, hearing, a sight, seeing, a smell, smelling, a taste, tasting, and so forth, and mental thoughts, commentary on that, that then becomes the whole experience of life, and even creating a sense of a self, someone having this experience. But even the sense of self is just thoughts in the mind. I am looking. So I am looking. 3 words, mental words in the mind, that creates a sense of someoneness. My cup, 2 words, that then creates a sense of someone has a cup. And even with language, if we changed how we use language, how the brain used language, there is a cup. There is tea drinking. There is seeing. There is thinking, as opposed to I'm thinking, I'm seeing, I'm drinking tea. So take out the personal pronouns, it becomes a different experience. What we took as reality starts to get a bit wobbly, starts to fall apart. But the power of clarity and presence of mind enables that seeing and that insight to occur, and that also allows the mind to let go of being caught up in the illusion that is happening as well, the drama, the melodrama that is life. So we see behind the curtain. So what we thought was something big and something amazing, the voice, the Wizard of Oz, it's just it's just a sound box and a little man sort of doing some stuff, and it's it's not all what it's made out to be. And there's a sense of relief in that as well. So for the most part, the practice becomes coming to our senses, both literally being aware of the sensory experience in a calm, objective, receptive, attentive way, and then also coming to our senses metaphorically, so coming to clarity, finally coming to our senses about the reality and truth of things, and also finding a sense of precision and perfection in the present moment, that enables a sense of joy. This moment is enough. This experience is enough, because it's perfect. It's perfect as it is, as opposed to want something more, something bigger, something faster, something more sweet, something whatever. It's this is full of experience. It's because we're mindful of what is, just as it is, and it's enough. So the art and craft of living, the art and craft of life. So in the remaining time, any thoughts or questions that might be arising in the mind? Not your mind, just the mind. No need to personalize it.
I had an interesting experience on the weekend. As you know, we had some Airbnb guests stay. And so coming back into my home after these people had been there was really interesting, because that first reaction was, oh, these people have made a mess here. They've moved my stuff around. They've scratched that thing.
Mm.
And there was that, feeling of oh, they shouldn't have done that, that's wrong. And I could feel all these feelings of resentment and, building up towards anger. And it's hang on. This is just stuff. it's not really my stuff. I haven't have it temporarily, but you know, they probably felt quite justified in what they did, and you know, they hadn't done anything wrong. But my perspective at the time was like, well, they haven't done things the way that I would.
Yeah. You mean they weren't so mindful?
They weren't.
Maybe they weren't meditators.
I don't think they were meditators, but look at all the empties in the recycle bin. But there was a really powerful experience for me to be aware of that. It's like, hang on, you know, I'm feeling resentment and anger and you know, all these negative feelings because of attachment to these being my things, and somebody else has done something to my things that I don't like and don't approve of. So and I was able to let go of that, which was, again, I think back to the training of realizing that it's not really that important. I can tidy up and move things back, and scratches can be fixed, and it's not that big of a deal. So, but that sense of realizing that was very freeing. Oh, I don't have to be that attached. I don't have to be upset about it.
So seeing that the attachment creates a type of a holding, a clinging, and belonging, which then becomes a source of suffering.
Causing you suffering, I was able to say, well, just let go of that.
And it's only self that suffers.
Yeah.
So seeing a scratch is just, the eye doesn't suffer. It's just, okay, just seeing and just a visual experience, light, color, shade, dimension, and but it's the thinking and then the personalizing and the suddenly self is in there. And what are they doing? And this is not right. And I do things a certain way. So whole sort of memory being sourced and future ideas and self is happening.
Then I was able to be grateful for the experience. Oh, this is a lesson. This is valuable.
Good, good.
I have a question, but I might be opening up a can of worms. I'm very wary at the time. So thoughts are my biggest enemy, especially in meditation. So I try to do the mental noting, you know, there are thoughts that go come back. I was just wondering, I was going to ask about the nimitta, because the nimitta is like a mental representation of the meditation object. How do you know that it's not just another thought?
Well, thoughts are occur more as a voice in your mind, sort of like a mental comment or commentary, and or they can occur as something that you're visualizing or creating. But the nimitta, which is the word for sign, it's a mental sign of the mind becoming more collected and focused, which arises not because you're mentally making it, but it's more of a spontaneous arising of itself, and particularly when the mind is quiet. So it's not going to come up when there's thinking happening. It's only when the mind is quiet, and also when the breath becomes quite subtle and quite sort of even the point of seemingly disappearing, and the body's very still, hardly any breath. There's no thoughts happening. And it's sort of like that's the mind bringing forth a sign of the collected, concentrated mind. But at the same time, Pip, not to see thoughts as enemies, but just thought is just a thought. It just gets in the way of that stillness, silence, spaciousness, that calmness and clarity of mind. Because we do need to think. That's why the Buddha included thought as one of the aspects of the Eightfold Path, but the right or skillful use of thought. And so where in some meditations there may be some degree of thought, but in the meditation for developing focus concentration, thought is not necessary or required. Apart from maybe in the beginning where it's just reminding, okay, just feeling my feet or feeling the hands and just, okay, just noticing the breath. So just a few thoughts in that way to set up the attention. Generally, when a nimitta does occur, then you'll you'll notice it. It's not so much of a that you've instigated it, but it's a rising of itself.
And it's of the meditation object, is that right?
And then it becomes a meditation object,
Yeah.
especially because the breath is quite sort of shallow or light.
You can get an nimitta from any type of meditation, so a kasina meditation.
Oh, no. So if you're doing loving kindness meditation, you wouldn't get that concentration nimitta. Or if you're doing a body scan or sort of general vipassana meditation, you wouldn't get that concentration nimitta. It's a function of the brain that's more collected and move from beta brainwave patterns into an alpha state. So it's a little bit different than general other meditations.
So a question too, John.
Yeah.
So you said like thoughts, the breath is slowed down, the thoughts are, gone or very light, I guess. But also, I believe you have to like completely let go of the 5 hindrances as well in order to reach that.
Yes, very much so, because the 5 hindrances relate a lot to thoughts of sense desire, thoughts of ill will, aversion, or mental dullness, or distraction, agitation, or thoughts of doubt. So that the mind sign nimitta isn't going to occur when the 5 hindrances are there.
Right. That's a temporary absence of thought about the 5 hindrances.
Yeah.
And is it, so I believe for most people it appears like a bright light, but is that not the case for everybody? Like you experience a nimitta, but it's maybe not a light, it's more of a feeling or sensation maybe?
Well, yes, because the nimitta means a sign or symbol of the collected, concentrated mind, which can also be a feeling, like a blissful feeling. And neurologically, there's more increase in serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. The stress hormones have reduced, cortisol, adrenaline, and so that that sense of inner peace, the feeling, so that in terms of the 5 factors of first jhana, absorption meditation, so the joy or rapture, and then the well-being, happiness that occurs, so a really pleasant feeling, and which also may also occur with the lightness, brightness, nimitta sign as well. But people are different. Some people, if everyone was doing concentration, samadhi meditation, people would experience some people experience a nimitta early in the meditation, others takes them a long time for it to occur. It might occur as a weak light or stronger. It's just, it depends. So do take encouragement from the fact that life is happening, and that life is a process, and it's an art and a craft, and that we can learn the art and craft. And it's not about having a whole lot of different experiences, but how we experience the moment, the relationship of the mind to the reality of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, feeling, and also thinking in a real mindful, conscious, present way. And that's what the practice is, and that's what also brings joy and insight. So before it starts raining, I'll let you find your way to the car. I can see there's rain sort of happening in the valley there. And there's still places on the Sunday retreat, half-day retreat in 10 days' time. So that is the first Sunday, the 1st of December, first day of summer, on the theme of beginnings and endings. So the ending of spring and the beginning of summer, the ending of a year, getting ready for next year. Have a great week and see you next time. Thanks for coming.